Hey guys, Cameron here with another update on my 1994 Toyota Hilux Surf. A couple weeks ago, maybe months ago actually at this point, I put out a video of a walk around and overview of my 1994 Toyota Hilux Surf. So if you haven't seen that and you're new to the channel, you can check that out somewhere up here. Put a link for that. Today we're going to be doing a little bit of modification on it, something that I've wanted for quite a while. So this arrived yesterday and I got a ARB bull bar slash winch bumper. So we're gonna take that down to the garage. I got my tools here, and yeah, we'll try and get this installed. Not a lot of videos on the second gen 4Runner Hilux Surf for installing these bumpers. Quite a few on the third gen, but I haven't seen any for the second gen. So we're making that video today. And if you guys have a second gen 4Runner or Hilux Surf and you're looking to add a ARB bull bar, hopefully this helps you out. So far so good. Got both the, where is it? Both the retaining nuts off and one of the bolts. There's two on each side. So it's 13 mil and these are 14 mil. But I realized we gotta take the indicator signals out because they are connected there, and if we drop the bumper we might pull that too much. So I'm going to pop those out next. There's just one left. I'm hoping those retaining nuts that are up in here will hold it and it doesn't fall on me. But I just got one on the other side here. Guess I'll just try and be ready to catch it. I think it should be okay. Okay, all four bolts are out. It does not fall, so that's good. All right, so this is where we're at. Got all four bolts, two retaining nuts out, so it's just hanging on the retaining bolts here. So I'm thinking it's going to pull right out. Let me just pull it forward a bit. So let's. All right. I don't think we're caught anything. Nothing. That's all disconnected. Okay, we should be good. There it is. Okay. All right. There's one stock KZN 130W bumper. Give you guys a peek here. Pretty rusty inside with all the chrome. Most of the chrome on this truck has rusted the back bumpers. I can just see the light on there. Yeah, pretty rusty. But yeah, I think this would have kind of just crumbled on impact, to be honest. Look at this. All right, so this is what we're dealing with here. I think I've got to take the tow hooks on both sides off. I'm going to go check the instructions for that. So, be right back. So one thing we're going to do before we go too much further here is we have new indicator lights for this bumper. So let's just kind of mock those up, make sure they work. Otherwise, we are screwed. Well, not really, but I have to figure out something. So, all right, let's take a look at this. You guys can see what we got here. So, I have two indicator lights. Those come with an extension wiring harness. I don't think we'll need that. A couple clips here, connectors. So I'll just check out the instructions. I did take a peek at these earlier, so I have a good idea. So when you open it up, there's the weather protecting or gasket inside here. That's what the bulb looks like there. So I think we're just going to try and wire one up, see if we can get it to work. So okay, so one minor issue is the connector that the new indicators came with. And so the idea is you put the two leads into it like that and plug it in. This is the factory one, so obviously these are not the same. Not a big problem. So what we're going to do, we'll just snip these wires here, and the kit came with these. 1 second. These little connectors here, so you can feed your wires in, and then it closes it and snaps that piece of metal down, so we'll have a good connection there. So not too worried about that. Just have to do that a little bit later. So just looking at the instructions here, so visitor checking in on us here. It's Cocho and Sophia. Hi. Yeah. Yep. So we just got the bumper off. Just got to take these off. Okay. And then put the new one on. Hopefully it goes okay. Okay. Yeah. A little setback with the indicators. They're not going to plug in, so I'm going to have to cut this, and I have little connectors to put them in. So one extra step, but overall not too bad. How was your walk? Cold out there? Yeah, it's like 3 degrees outside. Is it snowing? Yeah. Just snow and nice. Wind. Yeah, Coach likes the snow, so she's okay. Yeah. So, all right. So we're gonna mount the indicators to the bull bar first, and we'll wire those up later. And it says to just lift it into position, so I don't know if we need to take the tow hooks off here. I'm going to take the bull bar out of its packaging and put it on the ground over here. We'll take a better look at it. Alright, so it's actually the next day. Ran into a few issues last night. So I could not clear the edges up here of my radiator on either side. They were hitting let's see, yeah, here, this part on the bumper. So I've cut that off about a 1/4 inch or so on each side with the hacksaw, and I had a little bit of clear coat touch up paint, so I just slapped that on there, letting that dry. So this is now from here to here is 22 inches. My radiator's 21 and a half. If you have a stock radiator, you probably won't have this issue. Mine is upgraded, so I think it's a little bit bigger. The parts of the bumper that I took out, though, they're not structural. So this bumper actually covers the 85 4Runner as well, which has leaf springs. So that's what this is for. This kind of goes through the shackle, and you can put your leaf spring bolt through there. So this part actually just rests on the bottom of the frame. The two bolts that you put two bolts through here into the bottom of the frame where your factory tow hooks are, and then again these are just the stock mounting holes here. So we should be okay. Also brought down a couple bins here to prop this up, so I'm not fussing around with jacks and jack stands. I was doing that yesterday, and probably not the safest or smartest thing to do. Not that it wasn't like secure, it was just kind of tricky to maneuver. So I think I'll get it up there, and then I brought down, this is actually wood from the pallet that the bumper arrived on. So I'm gonna put the bins under, put the bumper on, and then slowly stack up. These are about half inch or so pieces of pallet wood here. So it should make mounting it fairly easy. So just gonna wait a little bit for the paint to dry. I ended up putting the stock bumper back on last night because I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. So I'm just gonna take that off now, and yeah, we'll check in once the paint is dry. So, a bit of an update. Just spent the better part of 2 hours trying to fit the bumper. I could not figure out what was going on. It looked like everything was clearing. Turns out the radiator was a little more forward than I thought, so I had to cut a little bit more out of the bumper with the hacksaw. Spent a good like half hour hacksawing. At this point, if you have an upgraded radiator, or potentially all Hilux Surfs with a diesel engine, you may want to invest in a grinder for this. It would probably be a lot easier. I think the V6 gasoline engine, like the radiator for that, is a lot smaller and it sits up higher, so you should be able to clear it. Based on the forum posts I've seen, everybody with like a 4Runner in North America that has bolted these on, they say it's really easy, just bolts right in. I haven't seen any posts or documentation on anyone with the 1KZ TE engine. I don't know if the stock radiator for that is larger than the V6, but I know mine is because it's upgraded. So taking a little break, and then we'll try and fit the bumper now. I think it should clear. So it ended up being way more cutting than I thought. And I also wasn't able to get there should be 2 bolts in here. So I got these ones in. I couldn't get these in, so I have to figure out something for that. I don't know if I, cut a little section out of here so that there's room. There just wasn't quite enough room. These ones there, those went in okay. Didn't have enough clearance with the supplied washer in this back bolt here, so I used the factory one. So that's all right there. Also had quite a bit of trouble clearing the mounts for this skid plate. I ended up having to, I don't know if you can see that, basically cut a little section out of there. Not too worried about it. There's still lots of material there, but yeah. Not the most straightforward thing, which is probably why I've never seen a video for it, but we are in. Bumper's on. Just gonna wire up the indicators now, and then we should be done for now. At least we'll have to figure out, before we put a winch on here, I have to figure out the 2 bolts on this side right here, but for right now we're gonna leave that as is. Alright, here is the finished product. Got the indicators installed. Looking good. Pretty happy with the amount of gap here. You don't want this touching, just in case things move around when you're off-road. You don't want it to scratch the body of the truck. So pretty good gap all the way through, and it's even on both sides, so that's good. Take that sticker off there. Indicators were pretty easy to wire up. I just used those connectors that I mentioned before. Overall, pretty time-consuming project. Like I said, if you have a diesel Hilux Surf from Japan, specifically, I think they're a little bit different. I had to cut a good amount of some of the bumper off to get it to fit, and from what I've read online, it seems like the gasoline V6 ones just bolt right in, no problem. Like I mentioned, there's 2 bolts on the other side here that I couldn't get in, so right now I guess it's very sturdy. I did at one point jack it up and it moved the whole car, so not too worried about the structural integrity. Would I want to use it as a recovery point without getting those 2 extra bolts in? Probably not. Not planning to do any major off-roading in the near future. That'll come later down the road. But yeah, the shop that I usually go to in town here, they quoted me about 2 hours worth of labor, and that was under the assumption that it would just kind of bolt right in. I'm thinking, they would have charged me upwards of probably close to like $1,000 to do the install here, so save myself quite a bit of money, but quite a bit of a headache to get it in. So would I do it again? Definitely not. If you can't afford it and you think you may have the same issues that I did, definitely pay a shop to do it. But overall, pretty happy with how it turned out. So yeah, stay tuned for more videos on the Surf. Thanks again. Hey guys, Future Cameron here again. Just a quick update. So the bumper's been on for a few days now. We're currently out at a cabin in BC for the Easter weekend, and I still don't have those 2 bolts installed on this side, but the bumper has been holding up super strong. You can see, you can move the whole weight of the truck on it. I did end up getting a tap and drill bit for that, so I'm just going to tap an M12 hole, actually 2 holes in here. There's lots of material down there. The factory holes are just a few millimeters off of what's on the bumper, so there's lots of space to tap a couple new holes into the frame and bolt it on like that, so should be nice and strong. But yeah, like I said, so this is the part that's not attached. It's holding up really well, nice and strong. So yeah, that's the plan.